Hello everyone, this is Chaos King True. I'm coming at you guys with my Stamina DK PvP build. Anybody that knows me knows I've been mainly Stam DK for a very long time. Of course, there have been a lot of changes, so people have been asking me for this build. So I told them I'll put it out there, so that way anybody that wants a version of the DK that I play, they can check it out. I have a few different builds, so we're just going to go over one today. I'm not going to make this a very long, try not to make this a very long video. So first thing we're going to go over is the sets that we have. We're going to go over the enchantments, the traits, the abilities, and then the philosophy behind the build itself. Again, I don't want to make this very long, so we're going to get started into it right now. So as far as sets, the three sets we're using for this build is 7th Legion, Troll King, and Armor of Truth. For the build, you want to have Armor of Truth all on the body with the exception of the monster pieces, and then of course weapons and jewelry would be 7th Legion. For the weapon, your two-hander, you want to have them all. We'll get into that in a little while, and of course sword and shield, obvious. On the enchantments, for the two-hander, I run the weapon damage enchantment to stack the weapon damage with which DK. They have a lot of weapon damage in their class, just skills, and the two sets we're using also gives weapon damage, so this is a good synergy. Also run on the maul, on the shield bar, I actually run poison. I actually run drain magic of poison with drain magic and sorry, not drain, but damage magic and damage stamina. It's really good for PvP because a lot of people don't even know how to use the resources, let alone if you help make their resources cost more, especially with a lot of people using New Moon Acolyte on their sets. It actually it could make them do a lot more resources, so it throws them off a little bit in their synergies and helps out a ton. And for your enchant on your shield, I always like to go tri-stat, since that is usually what you use a shield for, is to have some extra beefiness. It's always good to have tri-stat on there. And then for the rest of your for your armor, tri-stat on all the big pieces, of course. It's pretty standard: legs, chest, and head, so you get that 100% return. And then for the body, for the rest of them, you go stamina. Since I am double melee, I do take one piece and make it health just to get a little bit extra beefiness to myself. And then for the jewelry, this should be health, but it's health recovery, simply because of the fact that that's how it comes. But I would prefer to go health just to have that ability to soak. But health recovery does the same thing with healthy on the necklace. And then I go weapon damage on both of my rings just to help me push that weapon damage a little bit higher, and which helps with, you know, again, damage, heals, all that good stuff. As far as the traits, like I said before, you go Nerdhoned on the two-hander. Just want that. This is your basically your offensive stance, if you would. So whenever you're on Maul, you're trying to get kills, you're trying to push out damage, so you want all the damage you can get on that weapon. For your shield and your weapon, for your one-hander, I go defending on the one-handed weapon. Yet again, this is your defensive stance, so you want to be as beefy as possible. And then I go well fitted on the shield, simply because I like the extra mobility you can get from it from stamina. You know, reduce the cost of dodge roll, which is free mitigation, and sprint, which helps you go in or get in for your engage and or get out if you need to run away. Just all around a good thing. You can go impenetrable on the shield if you want to be a little bit beefier and you're not really worried about trying to chase people down and run away, and you want kind of more of that stand your ground type fighting. But because DK is not the fastest class, I usually recommend well fitted here. And then for all of the other pieces, I go 4 in pin, 3 well fitted. You know, good. It's a good spread across the board. Plus, when you get that extra shield, when you have the shield there, it puts you at 4 and 4. So you have a decent amount of defense as well as a decent amount of mobility. And then for your jewelry, you want to go max stamina, max health. So I go 2 healthy and 1 robust, simply because, like I said, this is a double melee class, and because of some of the abilities, you do want some health on this class. And with you being, of course, heavy armor, you will get a lot of you'll be tanky as well. So it's a good thing. Of course, you want your helmet to be medium and your shoulder to be light, so that way you can get the full undaunted passes, which I'm pretty sure most people don't know about. For anybody who wants an in-depth, detailed guide on this build, you can actually just ask questions in the comments below, or just come check me out on Twitch TV. I actually stream twice a week, and you can come just pop in and ask questions. And also, don't forget, I'm really bad at this, sorry guys, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, so when I do come out with the updated DK build for the Skyrim that's coming up, you guys can see that, and the other builds that I'll be putting out, as well as montages and all that fun stuff. So anyway, let's get into the skills. So for the skills, obviously you have your class abilities, which we'll go over first. So you'll be using Venomous Claw. Venomous Claw is your big dot pressure. As you can see here, you basically apply a single target dot to your opponent, which this does a lot of damage. As you can see, it deals 20% damage every 2 seconds and just keeps going up until it ticks out. So very powerful. You'll also be using Noxious Breath. This has a lot of different amplifications to it, simply because of the fact it gives you a dot and it gives you major fracture. You are running Sword and Board. You could run Ransack, but because of some other abilities, which we'll get into in a little bit, I prefer Noxious Breath, as it gives you more dot pressure, which allows you to be more offensive while giving you fracture. Okay. Of course, in all the class and all the classes class abilities, passives, you want to take them. That's obvious. Take them all. Take them all. Anyway, Draconic Power. You want to make sure you're taking Volatile Armor. Of course, this is your buff, your defensive buff. It procs your 7th Legion, which you definitely need it. Gives you a little bit of a dot. Not very powerful at all, but every little tick counts when it comes to PvP. And it gives you that nice little reflect bonus when you're fighting melee champions who are trying to hit you with direct attacks. So that's always good. Then you have Green Dragon Blood. This is your oh shit button. This is when you start to dip low. This is going to help you proc that Troll King, and synergizes really well with Troll King, because with all that extra health recovery you get from it, you also get additional health recovery from having major Fortitude. And then, of course, Major Endurance helps you with stamina recovery. And then you have Minor Vitality, which helps you with healing received. So this is your oh shit button for your heal. You want this, you want this, you want this. This is also why you have you want to make sure you sprinkle health throughout the build, simply because it does go off your missing health. So it does help out to have a decently big health pool. I usually try to push around 26k, as you can see here. I have 27 now, actually, and I would have more. I'll have more once I change that necklace to what it's supposed to be. Anyway, so after that, you want to go for this. You only want to get Molten Armaments. Yes, I know a lot of people are going to say, why not take Rally? The reason I'm not taking Rally is because you have enough sustainability from Troll King and your heals where you don't need that extra heal. Plus, with this, you have one button that allows you to proc Major and Minor Brutality, giving you a 30% increase for about 20 seconds. For 20 seconds, and then you'll have the 16 seconds afterwards where you still have Major ticking. Also, this gives you a buff to your heavy attacks. Using your two-hander, you want to make sure that you're weaving in heavy attacks. So this overall pushes out way more DPS than Rally does. And the thing about tanking or being a frontliner is that if you want to get kills anyway for a brawler type, you want to have that great mix in between. You don't want to be too much healing and defense, you're just a tank. And then too much killing, you're just like an assassin or whatever the case may be, which both playstyles are fine, and I have builds for both. this is my favorite one because it allows you to kind of be a jack of all trades. So that's why I go with molten armor. Plus, you want to make sure you're using that magicka pool, because people that make stamina builds that don't have any magicka being used, you're literally just wasting a resource. But that's for another video. Carrying on. So for your two-hander, Onslaught is the ultimate you're going to be running. This is your main ultimate. This is the ultimate you want to use almost most of the time. As anybody, it does damage. It penetrates through them, so they take all the damage they need. And then it gives you the flat amount for what armor or magic resist they have. So armor is the only thing that matters, because this is of course a stamina build. So all their armor becomes your penetration for all your direct attacks for 5 seconds. So that includes your dizzy swing and your executioner, which of course both of those, no surprise here that these are you're taking. This is your spammable, which you want to hit people with this and then hit them with the stun, hit them with it again, hit them with a heavy stun into an onslaught and executioner. That's your pretty much your kill combo after your dots are ticking. This is when they run out of resources and they just have to eat the damage. It'll kill a lot of people. Executioner, self-explanatory. When they get low, start back flipping and fucking slapping people with your ball. Of course, take all the passers here. That's pretty obvious. For the short sword and board line, the only ability you want is the gap closer. So you'll be taking shielded assault. I like shielded assault because even though the other one gives you stun based off how far you travel, if they break free, it doesn't matter. So I prefer to have the damage shield. So if they do break free, at least I have a little bit of tankiness to help soak damage. Helps you get in and out of situations. You actually have some situations where you're trying to run from people. You can use the damage shield and somebody else to get away from people. It's pretty slick how you can use it. Beside that, of course, again, all the passives in the skill line, obviously. For light armor, you want to just take the first 3 passes. A lot of people don't even think about this, but you definitely, especially since you have all 3 types of armor on this build, you want to make sure you're using it to its maximum effectiveness, as you see here. Reducing the effective snare by 4%, which, yet again, that extra percentage can be the difference between you dying or not. Also decreases your sprint rate, so you reduce the cost of sprint by 3% just from having 1 piece on, which helps out with all of your well-fitted and getting around Cyrodil. Magic and recovery, not really big in this build, but it is a good thing for your heal, your armaments, and your defensive buff. So you definitely want to have that just to help out there. And then spell resistance, 300, not a big deal, but yet again, that 1% can be the difference between me living and you dying. Anyway, you want to take all of the medium armor passes with the exception of agility. So dexterity, which gives you weapon crit, Wind Walker, which gives you more recovery to your stamina and reduces the cost of your stamina abilities by 2%, which is wonderful. Improve sneak, it helps. I mean, when you're in Cyrodil, especially when you're in Cyrodil trying to, go dark and pull other strategies, it helps you at least help your team out. And when you're ganking, of course, because this is a solo build more than anything. This is meant for you to go out by yourself, or if you get caught by yourself, you can fight. It's not really for big teams, but of course, every role has their place in a big team fight. And then athletics, increase your movement speed bonus of sprint, so you can sprint a little bit faster and reduce the cost of your dodge roll. The only reason you don't take this is because you have to have 5 pieces of medium on, so you don't, because it's the heavy armor build. Then obviously, take all the heavy armor passes, so that way you can be as tanky as possible, helps you with resources, helps you with health recovery, all that good stuff. And, just makes you all in all tanky. For Fighter's Guild, don't pay, that's for PvE, don't pay attention to that. So you will be taking Camouflage Hunter. This is your other ability, or another ability you'll be putting on your bar. You're only taking this ability for the stats that it gives you. Since it does give you Major Savagery, which increases your critical hit rating. So anybody that's got hit by a crit D-swing or a crit onslaught knows that hurts. You can hit for 20 to 30k, depending on how squishy your opponent is. And then also, too, it gives you the Slayer passive, which increases your weapon damage by 3%. Yet again, DKs push a lot of weapon damage, so anything that boosts weapon damage is good. Skill tracker, you don't really need that. I just put it there, so don't pay attention to that. Anyway, And then for some of the closing it out here, Temporal Guard is your back bar ultimate. It's your shield and sword and board ultimate. You're not really taking it for the ultimate itself. You're really taking it for the minor protection it gives you while you're healing, while you're in defensive stance. A lot of this build requires you to swap back and forth between stances based off the situation to maximize the build. You can use this ultimate as another oh shit card. It's really useful when jumping off of keeps. So if you're like getting sieged and they're trying to kill you and they're trying to jump off of the keep wall to try to chase you down, you can activate this to go back to where you were. It's good for juking, good for surprising people, especially in the mayhem of big fights. If you get caught out, you can actually get back into your team this way as well. So it gives you a little bit of mobility, but most of the time you'll be using your ultimate to put onslaughts into people. Also, another key reason you want this is because of this ability, Consecrated Barrier. It gives you that extra damage shield that you need. Free mitigation. I mean, I can't say it enough. It's free mitigation. While you're healing, you should be blocking as well, so that way you can mitigate damage that's coming into you while you're healing. Consecrated Barrier puts a weapon, another shield over you, so it just amplifies your block. Great thing to have, especially on a sword board. For Undaunted, you want to make sure you take both the passives, obviously. And then, of course, the stamina heal that everybody takes in any type of solo build, Resolving Vigor. This is another good heal for you. Of course, when you synergize this with Trollgang, Dragon Blood, Consecrated Barrier with Protection, like you'll heal up very quickly and you can turn back and start fighting a lot faster than people realize, which catches people off guard. So you definitely want that. Of course, Continuous Attack and Frenzy, obviously. And in the support skill line, you just want the last two. This one's not really needed because you don't have any support abilities on for this build. Yeah, that's really about it. Besides that, of course, for any PvP build, this is just in general, you always want to max out your alchemy as well as your provisioning. So that way you get those extra buffs from eating from your food buffs, as well as when you drink poison, or when you drink poisons, when you drink potions, you don't have some of those negative effects. So it's always a good thing. All right. So I brought you guys here just this dummy so you can kind of see what a combo starter is. Because after the combo starter, it all depends on the situation. Of course, anybody that plays PvP knows that there's so much that can happen in a fight sequence, especially in Cyrodil, that you can't look at it like a parse dummy. But as far as the basic combo, just to kind of get things started for you, you should always be running around with your Molten Armaments up. When you see a target, if you didn't just activate it, always activate it right then and there, so that when you get the minor brutality buff, you charge in, armament. That's how you want to do that. That should be your first combo. So I'm gonna do it slower now that you can see each ability in consequence in order. So Molten Armaments first, then you shield charge. When you shield charge, the second you shield charge, you want to activate Volatile Armor, then Weapon Swap. With your weapon swap, you want to hit them with Venomous Claw, so you get the tick going, and then hit them with your off-balance attack. When you do the off-balance attack, you want to throw a quick light attack in there, and then hit them with your Fracture. The reason you want to hit them with the Fracture after that is because you'll have your Fracture does more damage from the initial ability than the Venomous Claw does from its initial ability. The Venomous Claw is there from its tick. So you want all the weapon damage there on your breath attack, and then you want to hit them with another Dizzy into an onslaught, and then of course heavies with Dizzies and all that fun stuff. So the key thing you want to make sure you're working on getting down is the first part of the combo. It should look something like this. And then after that, you basically have to go off the situation, right? But as you see, the damage taken on them, both my buffs are just now falling off. And then of course, when that happens, while the good thing about Venom's Claw is it's such a long ability that you should be able to switch back and activate a second 7th Legion and get a second off balance while it's going on. But that's some more advanced, tricky stuff, and Of course, better players will be able to animation cancel a little bit better to make it happen. So just wanted to give you something quick there so you can kind of see how it somewhat should look. Of course, everybody's play styles will be a little bit differently, but that's kind of the starter combo. So beside that, everybody, thanks for watching. Whoever stayed here this long to figure out the full details of the build. Again, you can follow me on Twitter, Twitch TV, and here. So follow me on all my social. I actually do giveaways on stream, so make sure to follow the Twitter so you can see when those giveaways are. If you have any questions, man, feel free to drop in and just ask them, man. Just drop them in the comments, whether good or bad, so that way, one, I can get better at whatever I need to get better at, and we can bounce ideas off each other. Like I said, like and subscribe. If you don't like it, dislike and subscribe. So that way, you know, I can keep giving you guys content and you can know when all my new content will be out. Beside that, everybody else have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys on the field of battle. Peace.